Alafia, Alafia. Kale, hope everybody had a well Friday. Somebody asked me a question about the shoot. Oh, somebody asked me a question about the divining online. My thing is you can't divine Orishas. You can't do Orisha reading through online. It's impossible. Some people do it, but in my personal opinion and from my experience, it's not a good thing. There are times where people do it through an emergency. You know, let's say the Obas went out of town and they're really sick, and they will cast with Erin de Lagoon to, you know, but they treat that reading as the Ire and a Sobo. So it's not really precise how it's supposed to be. You know, that's the problem right there. There are times when the mother can do a reading for their child. That is possible because of the wound and the umbilical cord. Even though it's cut physically, spiritually it's still there. So let's say a child is in the war and they're overseas, and let's say the mother feels some type of have some type of spiritual warning. She can go to, you know, let's say about an Eluo or a Babalawo or an Awo. She can go to them and she can tell them that she want to cast for her child. They can do that because of the umbilical cord, but she still has to be present. And the reason why they have to be present in the Erin de Lagoon and the King or the Opele, because of the Orisha tradition, I'm going to explain to you why. So we have tools that's called Ibo. Ibos are tools that we use, that the person, the client who's getting the reading, has to use these tools in order to figure out the Odun, one, in order to figure out is it Ire or Sobo, to figure out where it's coming from, how it's formed, is this sign complete or not complete, and can we close? And if there's any other questions, we're able to determine that too. So let's pretend this is Efun. Efun is the white chalk that you see them use. Let's pretend like this is Efun. And let's pretend like this is the Otad, which is the black stone that they use. So what happened is that the priest or priestess, because some priestess could read Erin de Lagoon too, what happened is they invoke the shells, or the Awos invoke the Opele or the king by saying their Mayuba prayers. So while they're saying the Mayuba prayers, they're invoking the Orisha. When they invoke the Orisha, the first thing they throw down the shells, and the shells give a certain number, and then they throw another. Let's say we do an Erin de Lagoon, and they throw another number. So then now you got two numbers. So let's say like you got want to say Obara Meji. Boom. Now you have Obara Meji. That's the Odun that comes. That's what the Orisha is speaking through, Obara Meji, right? So now let's say we're trying to find if this Obara Meji is a blessing, which is Ire, or no Sobo, which is a negative. So what happened is that the diviner gives you in the Efun for let's say yes, and the Ota for no. So they give it to you in your hands like this, and when they give it to your hands, they say shake it. So then you shake it like this, or you shake it behind, or you shake it, and then you separate it behind, and boom, and you have it like this. Then that person throws again, boom. Let's say 9 comes in, or Sa. Boom, then he throws again, he or she throws again, the diviner throws again. Let's say it's Ofun. So then you have, is it a blessing? And the Odun is Osa Ofun. Then he asks for your right hand. Not his right hand, your right hand. So then, boom. Remember I said this is going to be that boom? So boom, it comes in the blessing. You see what I just did right there? This is why you have to be present in the Orisha reading, because the Ori is the one that's picking if it's an Ire, if it's an Osobo. Does it come from the Eguns? They'll use another Igbo. Is it Iku? They'll use another Igbo. You know, we have different tools that we use to determine, you know, where this, let's say where this Obadameji is coming from. If it's coming from, you know, okay, it's a blessing. Who's the blessing coming from? Is it coming from, let's say, Obadameji? So they're gonna ask Chango. Is it coming from Chango? Boom, boom. And then let's say Chango says no, it's not coming from. It's coming from another Orisha. So that's how you have to figure it out. It's because of the Ebo and the tools that we use by shaking it, separating it, and the Oduns fall, and then they ask you and then the Oduns would tell you which hand to pick, and that's how you get a reading. So in reality, the Ori has to be present for the Moyumba, the Ori has to be present for the Oduns, the Ori has to be present, period. You know, that's why I see it as impossible for anybody to get a reading in the Orisha tradition, whether it's using the Opele or the Erin de Logun, you know, unless if it's a certain case, like the mother's doing it for the child, then that's an exception, because spiritually we consider them to be still connected some way, somehow, but still the mother's still present with the tools. You understand what I'm trying to say? But I've heard of, you know, highly respected, you know, owls who can read online, but when I ask them, then how do you do the Igbo, the tools, how do you use the tools? They say that they use it as a negative and positive. So they have to read the positive and they have to read the negative. You know, that kind of defeats the purpose in my opinion, because now what are you doing? How do you make a Pacific Ebo? Now you have to figure it out. So how many times does this Ebo has to work? Versus when the person Ori is there, you can ask yes, no. Does this sign require an Ebo? Yes, no. It does. Okay. Which Orisa is going to take it? Elegua? Okay, Elegua is going to take it. What does he want? He wants fruits? No, he don't want fruits. Does he want candy? No, he don't want candy. Does he want a chicken? Yeah, he wants a chicken. You see what I'm trying to get here, people? You have to be there. This is why you have to be there. This is why I personally don't believe in doing Orisha readings, because of the function or the way how it's performed. You know, I don't know. It's one of those things that doesn't make sense to me. You know, it really doesn't, and I just don't know how people do it that way. But in reality, it's really not that way. So yeah, so that's what I wanted to talk to you about. So yeah, I'm still dressed. It just came from the lodge. So yeah, so this is about Orisha readings and not doing it online. You know, it's best to just go find a priest and a priestess, and you have to be there and you have to participate, because the Ori is the one that's picking your destiny. It's not really you. So you have to be there. So take care. Ashe or dabo. Peace.